Ken Johnson here with you, and we're looking at our cold weather across a good part of the country tonight, and we're also looking at a developing winter storm along the Gulf Coast here. So if we take a look at things, at least early on Monday evening, actually there's a disturbance, a piece of energy that's moving through the central and southern plain states here tonight. Actually generated a little snow across parts of the Texas Panhandle at least earlier in the day on Monday. But as this drops to the south, we're seeing a storm center develop down here just on the coast of Texas, or maybe just off the coast of Texas. And this is going to move across the central, north-central Gulf Coast or Gulf of Mexico later on tonight here and into Tuesday. And we're going to see an area of precipitation develop first across southeast Texas, and then it's going to move along coastal sections of Louisiana, Mississippi, and over into Florida and Alabama. And the cold air continues to pour in from the north, so we look for wintry precipitation and not just rain. We've been talking about this for quite a while now, and it's finally here. So we look at the chances for some snow, maybe some sleet mixed in here from time to time from about Houston, maybe even down to like maybe Corpus Christi, Texas, over to New Orleans, Lafayette, Louisiana, Lake Charles, Louisiana, Beaumont, Texas. Now, it looks like most of the snow will stay south of Jackson, Mississippi. In fact, the latest trends are for most of the snow to stay basically across deep south Louisiana with the way the track is. The track of the low, the storm center, is moving a little bit further to the south, so that's taking the northern edge of the snow chances basically off here, and that would include Birmingham and Huntsville, Alabama, and maybe even Montgomery. The snow may be just south of you, but looks like at least Tuesday and a Tuesday night, snow in places like Mobile, Alabama, over towards maybe Destin, Florida, and then you get over into Florida, there could be some ice, freezing rain and sleet in places like Tallahassee here. Then you get snow into the southeastern part of the U.S., mostly south of Atlanta, Georgia, but this also could maybe include Savannah, Georgia, or it could include Charleston, South Carolina with some snow maybe late tomorrow and into Wednesday here. We're checking out the high-resolution data here. This is known as the HRRR computer model. It does show precipitation breaking out across southeast Texas. Now, the computer model is indicating rain to start with, and there might be a little rain to start with, but probably going to primarily be a kind of a combination of light rain, maybe sleet, maybe some freezing rain here across South Texas. Could even be some light snow into Dallas here early on Monday evening. But there's your winter storm starting to go. And at least initially, there could be light snow in northern Louisiana, central Mississippi. But as the storm center itself wraps up, it's going to move a little bit further to the south, and it's going to pull a lot of this moisture with it. And as it does so, your heavier, more consistent bands of snow sink south with it here. So here we are around 4 a.m. We got freezing rain, sleet, snow combination from about Corpus Christi into Houston here. And temperature is going to be dropping below freezing in Houston, and it's going to be a mess. The roadways are really going to be nasty early on Tuesday morning. Snow flying along the Gulf Coast here from Lafayette over to New Orleans. Maybe some sleet mixed in too. And then look at these blue colors. That represents, the light blue represents heavier pockets of snow here from about Lafayette over towards Lake Charles and into New Orleans. And look at that snow area continues to move eastward. And there's the northern edge of that light snow up towards Jackson, Birmingham, Montgomery, Alabama. But again, this part of it probably not going to be heavy enough to amount to much. So it looks like the more significant accumulations will be down here focused south. Lafayette, New Orleans, along the Mississippi coastline here, maybe even into Mobile, Alabama. And if you were to jump offshore here, that blue, that light blue area, that's the really heavy snow showing up. And that even could get close to Destin, maybe even some snow in Tallahassee and up towards Macon, Georgia here. And at least a lot of the latest weather information tries to go all snow into Tallahassee. All snow into that. And this is accumulations here on the beach, folks. Your favorite vacation beach spots in the summer are going to look more like something you'd see in the Arctic. They're going to be white, not with sand, but with snow here. Now, I do expect some sleet, maybe freezing rain, mixed with some snow here, maybe Gainesville over to Jacksonville, mostly north of Daytona, north of Orlando and Tampa. And then you can see tomorrow evening how there could even be some sleet and some snow over towards Savannah, mostly, again, south of Atlanta, and kind of up towards the Charleston, South Carolina area. So, yeah, there could be some heavy sleet and some heavy snow there along the coastline there. Look at Jacksonville, Florida, as we head towards late on Tuesday and early Wednesday with some heavy sleet or freezing rain, even into Gainesville there. So could be some significant icing down here, especially if you wind up getting more freezing rain than sleet. Roadways are going to be a mess here, and again, it's going to be a mess into the Carolinas. So if we take a look, and this is model data off the HRRR, showing potential snowfall accumulations here. And you can see it adds up to mostly light stuff across central and south Texas here. The HRRR forecasting just over an inch in Houston, but I wouldn't be surprised if it were maybe a little bit higher than that. It may wind up being more sleet than snow into Houston, but again, I think you could get more snow than what that is showing. It doesn't show any accumulations up here to Birmingham or into Jackson, Mississippi area, but there are maybe some light ones coming up to south central Georgia, Alabama, maybe some south of Jackson here. And there could still be some, look at that, Lafayette showing up over 6 inches. I do think there'll be some areas here across southern Louisiana, and it may even include New Orleans, that could see snowfall amounts here add up somewhere between about 4 and 6 inches, with some areas getting up into the 8 to 10 inch range down here. And that could include New Orleans, and you better believe something like that, I don't know, at least in my lifetime, has not happened. New Orleans has seen a little ice, a little snow before, but a significant snow like this, I just don't recall it ever happening. And you know what's going to happen when that happens. All those high-rise bridges and overpasses down there, well, they're going to be a mess. And that kind of snow, New Orleans just isn't built for it. It's going to be a mess. It's going to be a fun mess, but it'll be a mess there. And you can see the accumulating snows, Destin, Tallahassee. I remember back in 1993, there was a big, they call it the storm of the century, big storm wrapped up in March and produced blizzard conditions up the Appalachian Mountains and into the southeastern parts of the United States here. And there was snow all the way down into the Florida area here. Now, I think it'll be anything like that, but wouldn't be surprised to see 3-4 inch snowfall amounts there in the Destin area. And you see those accumulations extend over into south parts of Georgia here, and that'll also include parts of the Carolinas. Some 2 to 3, 4 inch snowfall totals possible over that way. But I think once you get into the Carolinas, a lot of sleet could be mixed in with that too. And again, the northern part of Florida here will primarily be kind of a mixture of sleet, snow, and freezing rain. Now, if we look at winter storm impacts here, I'm going to go with the 2 here. It's a moderate winter storm across southeast. I thought about doing major because this area just doesn't see it very often, but it does. I just believe the amounts down here are going to be on the low side. But even with a moderate winter storm, there's going to be issues with roads here, especially into the Houston area late tonight and tomorrow morning here. It's going to be a mess, and it's going to be the roads are going to be a mess down here. Now we go further to the east, and I'm going to bump this up to 5. That's my highest I go on my scale. Now I wouldn't go 5 if, let's say, this were maybe in Colorado or somewhere like that. But since southern Louisiana doesn't see winter weather, something like this is apocalyptic. This is a 5. This is going to shut down South Louisiana here, maybe over towards Beaumont. But I think Lafayette, maybe near or south of Baton Rouge, New Orleans area, all this is going to be shut down because of this heavy snow. Probably shut down tomorrow and again on Wednesday here. And that would include coastal sections of Mississippi, and maybe even over into parts of Alabama. 5 here. That is a major winter storm. And again, I'm calling it apocalyptic for those parts of the country here. So when you have a 2, this is what we expect. This is southeast Texas. Moderate to high impacts on the roadways here. Remember, it doesn't take much, especially those bridges and overpasses. They ice up. So it could be a mess down there in the Houston area later tonight and early tomorrow morning here. Power outages, you'd have to see some significant freezing rain or maybe some significant heavy snow to accumulate to really be able to bring the power lines down. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of power outages in southeast Texas. And of course, your school business closing going to be moderate to high end down that way here. Now you jump over to southern Louisiana, coastal Mississippi, maybe even over there in Alabama, those areas. And again, apocalyptic. Roadways, very high here, about as high as it gets. Power outages, we could probably bump that into the high range. Remember, even though it's not freezing rain, it's snow, and there's a lot of trees down here in these areas, and a lot of times those, especially the pine trees that are there, they're flimsy, and it doesn't take much to break those limbs. So they the heavy snow starts to accumulate on those branches. So what happens? They break off, and they cause power outages. So big power outage situation there in southern Louisiana, and that's why we're calling it apocalyptic there. And of course, business school closes probably for maybe the rest of the week here. I may not even have school the rest of the week beyond today. So Back here southeast of Port Lavaca, maybe San Antonio, Austin area, some slick spots. So be cautious driving in those areas. I'm going to go with dangerous travel in and around Houston here, over along Interstate 10 to Lake Charles, Lafayette area with snowpack, slick roadways here, slick bridges and overpasses. North of there where the precipitation light, we'll go with just some slick spots there. And if we move this further to the east, most of the travel impact areas will be south along Interstate 55 here in extreme south Mississippi towards Macomb. And then you get down here towards Baton Rouge into the south. That's where the big dangerous impacts are, especially in and around New Orleans. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if I bumped this up to impossible here for New Orleans. It really looks like New Orleans is going to get the brunt of this winter storm here. You get snowpack, you get dangerous travel conditions, southern parts of Alabama, all of the Florida panhandle here, and then over here into northern parts of Florida as well, and then into the Carolinas by early on Wednesday morning. Dangerous travel over that way. For us up here in North Texas, we missed out on this one. Just cold air, just a few flakes here or there, but just cold and mostly dry. And I'm not complaining. I'm happy about it. I'm happy that we do see some warmer temperatures on the horizon. Matter of fact, the warmer temperatures will take over down here as well. By Thursday, a lot of this stuff's going to melt off, and things should start to slowly get back to normal by Friday and maybe the weekend. But again, there's going to be some power outages, especially there in South Louisiana, that could be have some issues. And again, power outages also could be a problem down here in northern parts of Florida. That could include Jacksonville, Gainesville, those areas. So we'll keep an eye on it. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe to my social media pages. Thanks for following me. I've got a lot of new followers. I certainly do appreciate it.